right, hello everyone and welcome to our weekly 30-minute webinar. This is Matt and Mike with Variphy, a couple systems engineers over here, and we're going to get started in a moment on this week's webinar. All right, before we get started, I would like to mention that we have released our Variphy Cloud offering for CDR call analytics and dashboarding. If this is of any interest to you, please let us know or contact your Variphy account rep for more information. Okay, so for today's webinar, we're going to focus on UCCX reporting with a specific focus on how to identify abuse and misuse within the contact center environment. We're going to start with a quick overview of our company and what we do. We'll jump into a live demo where Mike will guide us through the UCCX reportings. We'll pause for a Q&A and get some of your questions answered. During the demo, if you have any questions, make sure to ask them in the Q&A panel in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, not the WebEx chat, but the Q&A panel. After QA, we will reward one lucky attendee with a $50 Amazon gift card, so hang around and see if you may have won. A quick overview of Variphy. Variphy is the preferred analytics and management solution for Cisco Collab. We provide industry-leading CDR reporting and call analytics, customizable dashboards and widgets, UCCX reporting, remote phone control, change management, dial plan management. But today, we're solely going to focus on UCCX data perspectives. If you have any questions on any of our other features, we can most certainly take them offline and get those answered for you. All right, before we get started again, we want to announce that Variphy does now offer a new service that provides managed consulting services to our customers. Variphy systems engineer team will be engaged on a one-on-one basis to remotely provide additional consulting, unassisted reporting, dashboarding configurations, and system monitoring assistance. This is a service that provides a dedicated Variphy SE to do all the heavy lifting of report creation and generation. So for more information, please contact us and we'd be glad to speak with you more in depth on our new service offering. All right, I believe we're ready to go live into the wild, Mike. So if you want to go ahead, I will make you the presenter and you can go and take us into the wild.
All right. Let me wait. All right, let me share my screen. Just monitor 2. All right, you should all be seeing my screen. Let me move WebEx out of the way. All right, hello everyone. Today I will be going over some examples of UCCX reports that we've built either on our own or while working with customers that kind of fall under the umbrella of agent misuse or abuse, or just kind of like general overall agent monitoring. So I'll go ahead and get started. I built some examples here. One of the things that we kind of avoid when, or not, I don't want to say avoid, but when it comes to building an agent-based report, there's two sets of data that we usually see commonly used: the agent statistics, which includes counts, groupings, averages, and then the call details, which includes the each specific individual call record and the agent or the queue information related to that call. The third feature, or the third set of data that we don't see used that often, are the agent state details. So an agent state detail is generated every time an agent state changes. So when they log in for the morning or the afternoon, and they automatically go not ready, then they go ready, then a call is presented to them, so they go reserved, and then they're talking, and then work time or wrap up time, and they go back to ready. So each of those state changes creates a record within our software. A lot of times this data is kind of avoided because, like, I'll run this report right here as an example. It's a lot of data. It can take, we don't need a 40-page report when just a basics, it's hard to kind of gather all the information. So this is an agent-based report. I'm just including the state data. It's for one agent. His name is Adam. It's for the previous week. And so you're going to see, just his previous week's worth of agent states are going to take up like 24 different pages of the report. So this is a lot to give to somebody to make sense of. I mean, if you read through it, it makes perfect sense, but to be able to look at it at a glance, because we're all busy, we don't have time to dig through, to take an hour at a time to dig through a report. But there's a lot of great information in here. So we can see here for Adam, on the 25th, he logged in, or he started his shift at 9:04 in the morning. He goes not ready because he automatically logs in. He goes, then, he's not ready. He's doing customer outreach. He's then reserved. So this is when the contact center puts him into a reserve state because it's getting ready to present him with a call. So it's almost like ring time. It includes ring time, but it also includes maybe a second or two or more prior to the phone actually ringing. So you have 8 seconds there. Then he's talking for 20 minutes or so, and then he's working the 5 seconds of work time, and then he goes not ready, and then reserved again, and this repeats itself throughout the entire day. So what I kind of want to show you is some ways to take this information and break it down so you're not looking at 24 pages of a report, but you can kind of get some good information using this agent state data that's often overlooked. So um, going back to Adam, one of the things that's kind of really easy to look at is when are your agents logging in? Maybe they're showing up on time for work, but they're not logging into the phone, on time, or just in case you just want to see, when are the agents, logging in. So basic login report. Let me show you the report first, and then I'll show you how I built it. So same report. I made a copy of the other report and just kind of got rid of a lot of extra information. Previous weeks, I'm still filtering on Adam. So we went from like a 24-page report to a single-page report. Here's Adam, one column. We want to see when he logged in. So Adam on the 25th, he logged in at 9:04. On the 26th, he logged in at 9:06. On the 29th, he logged in twice. So we know he logged out at least once, hopefully twice for the end of the day. So he logged in at 9:06 and then logged in again at 12:39. On the 30th at 9:03, and then on the 31st, 8:29. Now I'm not the manager of this contact center, so I don't know if these are good times or bad times. I just know that we can provide a report either for one agent, for multiple agents, for a team that can kind of show when your agents are either logging in or the next report, which will be when they're logging out as well. So if you want to take a look, let me take a look at the end of this report. I'll show you what I did to get this information. So I'm not including agent statistics. I'm not including call details. For the agent state details, the default criteria is when it's turned on to include all events or all reasons, and that's what gives you that 24-page report for one agent. So if you want to look at individual events or a specific key event, like when the agent's logging in, turn off the toggle for all events, and then just select the events from the dropdown. So we have logged in, logged out, not ready, when they're ready, talking, reserved, all that good stuff there. So this report, I selected just single time. If there are multiple agents, they would be grouped or sorted by agent name, and I'm just showing when they logged in. So basic report, I'm using the agent states. It's one page instead of 24. Taking it a little further, building upon that report, I have what I'm calling the agent shift report. So I want to see not just when they logged in, but also when they logged out and how long they were logged in for. So I'm looking, I think, at 3 agents here. Same previous week. So here I have Adam again. I mean, jump down here. So going back to the state details, I still have their logged in time, but now I'm also including their logged out time. So I can see Adam, on the 25th, he started at 9:04, but he also logged out at 6 o'clock p.m. And going back, I think it was 29th, we can see, again, there's those 2 login entries. 9:06, he logged out at 12:37, logged back in at 12:39, and then he logged out for the day at 6 o'clock. So again, we're seeing not just logged in and logged out time, but I also included the agent statistics up on top. So instead of all the detail with logging in, logging out, you can also look at a summary to see how long they're logged in for. So Adam between like 9:04 and 6 p.m. was logged in. If you're taking the amount of time between those 2 periods, is 8 hours and 55 minutes and 46 seconds. So now you can see not just when they're logging in, if they're logging in or logging out on time, maybe they're going home early, starting late, but you can also make sure that they are staying for their full shift, or how much time they're just spending logged into their phones. So to get this information here, and to build this report for this agent shift report, going back to the state details, I just add logged out as the event. And then I also included, I believe, the event and the reason for a little more information to identify which is logged in and which is logged out. I also included the agent statistics at the top of the report. I did just a simple time period table. I'm not doing anything by actually, I am doing it by day. I turned off the agent summary because we're not so concerned with like the grand totals from all the agents. So for each agent, I'm showing by date, just their login time. And so, and that's where I'm keying in off of how long they're logged in for each day. All right, so this fourth report came from an actual a ticket opened by a customer. They came to us and said that their contact center manager came to them for a report request. They felt that, or they were being, the manager felt like or had an idea that some of the agents weren't answering calls. The calls would be presented to them, and for whatever reason, the agents just weren't picking them up. So in the contact center environment, when that happens, if the agent doesn't pick up, the call is either kept in queue if there's no other agent available, or sent to the next available agent where hopefully it's answered by that agent. The agent who didn't answer goes not ready. The reason code or the reason behind why they go not ready, the name can change based upon how you've within finesse, but it creates an agent state of not ready, like ring no answer, or agent ring no answer. So we can report on that. So we built in a report that looked at and it was this top part under the agent statistics. So we looked at the counts for the number of times each agent went not ready because of ring no answer. So this could identify, we could see maybe a trend of every agent maybe having one or two or three, but then if there were agents abusing this or just not answering calls, they would stick out from the rest of the team. So here I built a report. I'll show you the report first, and then identify. I'll show how I built it. So same data, previous week. Instead of looking at 3 agents, I'm looking at all of the agents. So you see here, this is the count, and you'll see, Charlie Murphy, Kenny McCormick, and Bruce Wayne all have, in the past week, they've all not answered a call that has been presented to them well over almost all of them 20 times. I mean, Bruce was there, he was too short of 20. But this is definitely, when most agents have 1 or 2 or even 0 ring no answers, to have these 3 agents have a spike is worth looking into. So we were able to give them this report. This is not their data, but we gave them the report, and they were able to take it back to the managers to have them look into it. I also included underneath that the agent state data. So we also get an agent state change of when they go not ready. So we have the event of when they go not ready, and then when they, because of ring no answer. And for more proof that they weren't answering, we can also see this in the detail. So if you're running a detail report, when a call comes into a queue, it will have the talk time field populated. If the call wasn't queued, talk time will just be blank. Not 0, but it'll just be completely blank or null. So in this case, if an agent is presented a call and the call isn't answered, you're going to see a record created for the agent, and the talk time will be 0. So if you're looking through your detail from the UCCX data and you're seeing these talk time, these calls that come through a queue, so like the queue name is populated and the talk time is 0, then more than likely these are calls where the agent didn't answer. I mean, maybe they weren't at their desk, maybe they forgot to go not ready, they went to the bathroom for whatever reason, or they just didn't want you to call. For whatever reason, either way, talk time will be 0, the queue name will be populated. And then when it comes to the queue and the contact disposition, this information, so with CCX data, there's different levels of data. So we have like the individual agent data, which contains the agent name, and you may see the queue name, and the talk time is unique to each agent. So when Adam didn't answer this call, the call would go to the next available agent. If the agent picked it up, then a second record would be created with all the information that's related to that agent. If the call wasn't answered, then a third leg would be created if the call was delivered, to a third agent, and then so on and so on. So in this case, the queue disposition and the contact disposition aren't agent level records. It's a higher level at the queue. So one call record or one call will have multiple records at the agent level, but they all share the same disposition. So in our current release, which is 12.3.0 or EFT1, we pull the queue information and the contact disposition again from the either the queue level or at the contact center level, which is why you're seeing abandoned or handled, and there's really no pattern to it. It's because ultimately, when Adam didn't answer this call, it was handled by an agent. When he didn't answer this call, maybe the call stayed in the queue and the caller eventually abandoned the call. So in a future release, that's going to change, and that's actually going to be the topic of an upcoming webinar 2 weeks from now. Let me bring it over here. I'll promote this now. August 18th, in version 12.3, in the general release of 12.3.0, we're going to be including ring no answer as the disposition. So moving forward, when the agent answers the call or when the call is abandoned, you will see the correct abandoned or handled. But in this case, we're going to update these fields to be to display ring no answer instead, so you can identify much easier, when looking through the detail, hey, this leg is here because of ring no answer, not that it was abandoned or handled, it was ring no answer. So we're going to have more reporting capabilities. I won't go over it now. It's not available in the beta release, and I also want to give Vic something to go over in the webinar 2 weeks from now. So going back to this though, ring no answer, let me show you how I built the report. So agent stats, not ready counts. I'm grouping it by the count descending, so that gives us the part at the top of the report here. So everything here, here's the ring no answer count. The state details, next section down. I turned off the include all reasons toggle. I'm including only the agent RNA for not ready. And then I'm showing, event date, time, event reasons, and then it's sorted by agent. And then for the detail, that's kind of where the filtering comes in. So here's our detail here. I'm including all calls for my search set. I'm including all calls where talk time equals 0. And then I just have the detail of, whatever I want to see, the agent name. For inbound calls to a queue, there's different agent name fields. You'll see there's destination, originator, queued, and connected. This is all from the Cisco tables. On an inbound call from a queue, the agent who was presented the call is going to appear in the connected agent name field. Contact start date and time is when the call was originated, queue name, talk time, and then the 2 dispositions. Okay. All right. So that customer took their report back to the manager, and then like a week or 2 later, they called back, opened a new ticket, and said, okay, so now they think that after telling the agents or showing them this report and saying, hey, we know you're not answering the calls, I'm assuming that the agents realized they were being watched and realized that they could no longer just not answer calls. So the manager came back, and now their theory was that the agents are now, instead of not answering calls, they are answering calls and then just hanging up right away. The reason why is because now they were getting complaints that the calls were being dropped, or that the call would answer really quickly and then be hung up. So we built another report for him to take back to the managers to kind of show which agents could have been doing this. So using the UCCX data, looking at the agent short duration report, I built the report. So again, same data, same previous week, looking at all the agent data, looking at the inbound counts of calls, and then we filtered on the talk time being less than 5 seconds. So in this case, this data that I'm working with is not the customer's data, so I kind of had to assume that these are calls that are being dropped or being disconnected. So again, same idea of the report. Now instead of looking at calls with talk time of 0 seconds, we're looking at calls with a very short talk time, because short talk time is when when the agent is connected to the caller. If you say, hello, my name is so and so, how can I help you? That's 1 to 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, maybe. Why would an agent have a 5-second phone call with a calling party? So going back to the configuration for this report, basic settings, just showing calls with low talk time. I'm doing inbound ICD. In the terminology, anything ICD is anything that came through the queue. So I want, inbound calls through the ICD. And then I created a call detail search set, which also impacts the other agent statistic counts as well. So I'm looking for anything where the talk time is less than or equal to 5 seconds, and also greater than 0, so I can weed out those ring no answer calls. And then just some basic details so we can see the call records below. So that gave me these counts here, and then the detail down below here. And of course, all these calls are handled because the agent is answering. They're just hanging up really quick. So really, they're not really abandoned. I mean, to the caller calling in, they're not really being handled. They're not really being helped. But as far as contact center is concerned, the call was handled. The call was answered. There is talk time, so there is duration. But the thing with this report, though, is we don't know why the call only lasted 5 seconds or 1 second or 3 seconds. So for that, to kind of confirm that these calls were truly being disconnected, when we worked with this customer, we went back not to the contact center CDR, but we jumped into the call manager data to kind of confirm that these records were being dropped. So now in this lab, in this demo system, I don't have the same matching data. So I kind of put together a example report, but what we're looking for in this report is short duration calls that were disconnected by the called party. So let me bring it up and so previous week, same report, different point of view though. So again, not the same data, so not the same agents, but what we were looking for where it was essentially calls with a short duration. We filtered it by the agent's names in his data. And then we looked at the cause code. So in Cisco CDR, there's basically like almost like two parties to a call. There's a party that initiated the call. That's the originating party. And then there's the party that ends the call or received the call, which is the terminating party. Each party has a cause code. Cause code tells us why the call ended. Was it a transfer? Was the call dropped? Was the call just did they hang up? So when the party that answered the call, in this case the agents, if they hang up the phone in the Cisco call manager's CDR, we're going to get a cause code of normal call clearing. That just means they hung up. On the originating side, it's going to say no error. That's one of the most, the common cause codes we see. And you can use this for any sort of call scenario. If a customer calls in and says, hey, someone hung up on me, you can run a report, look at the call data, and then see, hey, who hung up first? Was it the originating side or the terminating side? So in this case, we use this information to, look at the agent to say, hey, here's all their calls. We can match up the caller ID in the call manager's data with the caller ID in the contact center data. We know it's the same call because the time's the same, the caller ID is the same, and then the agents were definitely hanging up because the cause code was normal call clearing. I mean, they were, it was a match. So we gave them both reports to go back to the manager, and that was it. So, but it also can show you other issues too. I mean, I've worked with agents or customers with agents where their phone had an issue. So we could look at they would answer a call and the call would be dropped. The person calling didn't hang up the phone, but the agent didn't either. The phone dropped the call. So we ran a report, looked at the cause codes, and we saw there was an issue with the phone. They swapped the phone out, and everything was fine. So reports like this can definitely help. Not just identify abuse, but maybe also rule out abuse and misuse and say, yeah, it's not the agent, it's their phone. Okay, let's go back. Then one final report. We're running low, but we have time. One final report. I know I've shown this report probably in past webinars, but I really like it. Is a report that, and it can look however you want it to look, but a report that looks at not ready time. Again, going back to abuse, misuse, we know that an agent, if their priority is answering calls, when they're talking, when they're, taking calls, that's great. But we also want to see when they're not taking calls. Because if they're not taking calls, and if you have too many agents not taking calls, then calls will be backed up in the queue. And that's not great for, the customers calling in. So this report is looking at the not ready time for the agents. So I just have 3 agents here. And I just picked some important not ready time. So I can see, for the previous week, how long they spent not ready. Adam, a lot more not ready time than Alec and Charlie. But just looking at the different not ready times. And these values, the different not ready reasons can be customized in Finesse. And we can pull those customized values out of Finesse and into the reports because Contact Center will give us the code that links up to the name, and then with a Finesse account that you can create, and set up in the cluster settings in our software, we can go out and then pull in the actual label associated with the number. So we'll get like all these different, ring not answers, customer outreach, not ready time for don't want to work. I mean, that's something that we put in, but it's these custom values that we can then pull in and display in the report, so you can see why your agents aren't, taking calls, whether it's for, they're not ready for email, don't want to work. Definitely Alec does not want to work. Are they taking lunch? Here's Alec. He has 5 hours for lunch, or almost 6 hours for lunch for the past week. Adam and Charlie don't have any time, so maybe they're not using the proper not ready codes either when they're logging out or when they're going not ready, not logging out, but going not ready. So you could identify why your agents either are abusing the system, or maybe they just don't have time. Maybe they're doing customer outreach here, or maybe they're doing training, or maybe an agent is saying, hey, I'm not ready because of training, but they're not actually doing any training. So this report is a great report. I always show it to new customers, anyone who's getting first timers into the contact center reporting. It's just a really great way to see the opposite side of just how many calls were handled, presented. So great report. And as we were getting ready, Matt gave me some of his dashboards. So we're looking at we can take that not ready time, and especially at like the ring no answer counts, and then put it into a contact center widget. So we have I just kind of threw this together with some of his samples here. Looking at current hour, current day, or I think one for the current week, but I changed it. Just looking at you can see logged in time. How long have they been logged in for today? How many inbound calls, outbound calls, and then I added this is the not ready count for agent ring no answer, so you can see how many calls not live, but as close to live as possible. Are your agents not answering? So instead of waiting for it to come across in a report, you can say, hey, today John didn't answer a call. And I thought Charlie here, how many times Charlie's not, he's going back to Charlie Murphy, how many times how long he's been logged in for, or how many times he's going not ready. So all these not ready, these kind of agent specific values, you can also use in a much more alive, active, up-to-date setting or in the widgets instead of waiting for a report. So that is it, I think, for now. Matt, I will pass it back to you. Is there any Q&A?
All right. Fantastic job, Mike. Stellar job as always. You go ahead and you want to stop sharing? I'll grab it back from you.
Yeah, let me stop sharing.
I suppose I can steal it. Grab my share option. All right, 1 second. Now I can share. Here we go. All right, we're coming out of the wild. All right, into Q&A or QA here. So I just had a couple brief questions, but everyone, now is the time for Q&A. So if you have any questions that you want to ask Mike or myself, or general questions about this session here, please feel free to go ahead and do so in that Q&A panel on the bottom right. So far, I did field a question about the cause codes that you mentioned. So that was a great segue from Mike to kind of showcasing the CCX reporting, even all the way down to looking at some of the detail, but then comparing that with the Cisco CDR report based off of those cause codes, which is definitely very identifiable off of the normal call clearing, to denote who is that exactly is hanging up that call first. All right. Let's head her out of the way. So that if you have any questions, please feel free to answer them or ask them, and we will get them answered right now. If not, we will go ahead and move along. Okay, without further ado, then I suppose we will slide over to the most anticipated part of the webinar session, which is the gift card winner. So this week's weekly webinar winner is Neil Sakia. So woo, congratulations, Neil. We will be in contact with your account manager very shortly to get you paid for today's attendance. All right, thank you all for attending. We do want to make you aware of next week's webinar, where Brian and myself will be showcasing new features in the Variphy 12.3.0 release that is due right around the corner, that will include Cube support as well as WebEx chat delivery and other bells and whistles that we will cover. So feel free to go ahead and register for this event, as well as we do have, we do have an upcoming webinar, our upcoming block party in September. So please feel free to go ahead and jump out and register for this. We will be giving over $6,000 away in prizes. We will have live product demos with deep dives, as well as our roadmap discussions, as well as customer success stories. So please feel free to go ahead and register, and let us know if there's any questions you have. Other than that, everyone, thank you very much for attending this weekly webinar, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.